This is it, everybody. This is it right here. Okay, so enjoy it.
Right.
This is truly it. Hitting record.
Really, I promise. This is what this show
this one's
started.
it.
I promise.
Yeah, this is the real one, and begins in 3, 2, 1.
3 tours in Vietnam, Panama, Grenada, Desert Storm, 3 Purple Hearts, 2 Silver Stars, and the Congressional Medal of Jesus. This man is a hero.
This is my house.
A great pair of nerd glasses in about an hour. This is the Morning Stream.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to TMS. It's the Morning Stream for Thursday, September 15th, 2022. I'm Scott Johnson, and that is Brian Ibbett. Good morning, Brian.
Hey, now everybody. Hey, now everybody. Hey, now everybody now.
Now. Yep, that's how that song goes.
That's exactly right.
Hey, so it's halfway through the month, and that doesn't sit right with me. I don't like
Right,
that.
already, right? It's the Ides. We always do this, right? The Ides of September.
Yeah, it's just too weird because I was on the ship when the dates crossed over, and that feels like 2 days ago.
When the month crossed over?
Yeah.
Wow, no kidding.
I don't like that. No, sir, I don't. And you've been to 2 major cities since then.
I have. And I remember saying before I went to those 2 major cities, I said, on this very show, Scott, I said, with all this travel, I'm pretty much just banking on the fact that I'm going to catch COVID-19
finally
during these trips, right? Like I'm just like already resigned myself to the fact before I went to Vegas that these 2 trips I'm totally going to catch COVID-19.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to say that 2.5 years into the pandemic, everybody, I can finally say there are 2 lines.
Yep. You did it. You caught it.
I did it.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm out of the contest, Jerry.
Yeah. Yes. When did you tested positive?
Tested positive yesterday, and so but
boo.
Here's the thing. I was telling Scott, I feel like I have COVID 0.
Yeah.
Like it's basically no sugar COVID.
Yeah. COVID light.
Sense of smell, fine. Sense of taste, as fine as my taste has ever been.
Sure.
Look at the shirt I'm wearing, if you have any doubt of that. What else? Sinus issues? No, not really. Headaches? Not so much. Sore throat? Yeah, a little bit last week. Like I had a sore throat the night after Disneyland, which I attributed to running around completely soaked after Splash Mountain because they've adjusted something in that ride to where you just are taken over by an entire wall of water. Mm-hmm. Like you were just,
Sure.
So basically for the whole night, Tina was soaked. We even went and bought, because both of our shorts just weren't drying out. Shirts were drying out, but shorts weren't. So sure enough, we went to the Star Wars store and I bought a Marvel pair of shorts and Tina bought a Star Wars pair of shorts. So well done, Disney. You figured out how to make sure that we buy your damn clothes is by tuning Splash Mountain.
It's good that you get new shorts though, because you get rashy in the wet if you walk around all day. Forget that. That's a terrible idea.
Yeah, I was really worried about getting a yeast infection, but
you don't want to get yeasty.
No,
yeah.
But had a little bit of a sore throat that night. Woke up the next morning completely fine.
Yeah.
Went to the con. Had a little bit of a sore throat on Sunday. Didn't go to the expo at all that day. Came home, felt fine. Tested yesterday. COVID.
Bam. So you got the two lines, baby.
Oh yeah. So basically the only thing I've really been experiencing is just fatigue. Basically the
universal symptom, fatigue.
It feels like that's it, right? That seems to be there've been no like, oh well, you feel this, guaranteed you've got COVID.
Yeah.
But the fatigue does seem to be the most common thing, and then the second is like loss of smell and taste.
I'm glad you didn't get the because the stomach version of COVID sounds miserable. A lot of people I know got that, including Jeannie in her chat.
Oh,
she
really?
had that.
And you get the farts?
No, not
or
the
just
farts.
like the
just
diarrhea?
like the horrible like gut version of this.
Oh, geez.
I think that's what Brushwood had too. He had the He had the stomach version. I have a neighbor that had that version. So they all tested positive for COVID, but it was like this horrible, like 3-day projectile, both ends, awful freaking flu bug. And then other people are just like, I'm a little sniffly and have a headache. So it's weird.
Ugh, yeah. God, no, that I don't want at all. So honestly, I don't know how long I've had it. I've checked with Ashley and Jason. They're both feeling completely fine. Checked with, obviously we heard from Yandy yesterday.
Yandy, how's Yandy doing?
Randy, he's fine. Gary's doing fine. Tina, by the way, also totally fine. She had COVID in May, and then she got her booster more recently than I did. I got my booster in July. She got hers in August. So 4 shots in. You're about to get your 5th, right?
Yeah, I'm doing the BA.5 one on Tuesday. So
yeah,
we'll see how that goes. Kim and I are going in for that. I suspect nothing will. They want me back in for my second shingles one. And that first shingles one freaking floored me. That was rough. So I'm trying to schedule that one in a way that'll be like on a day where I don't have to do anything.
Jeez, yeah.
But I'm not worried about the COVID one. So
yeah, I wouldn't be worried about the COVID one. You've never had a reaction to that one.
No,
so
been fine. Unless the BI5 one's like gonna suddenly that one's gonna have a reaction. I don't know. Maybe it will, but
I doubt
we'll find out.
I doubt it. If you haven't had it before, I feel like it's a consistent thing. If you have a reaction to shot number 2, you're gonna have a reaction to all of the boosters, and if you don't, then you won't.
That's true. If you don't, you won't. And so if this is our battle royale, Brian is out. I'm still in. I feel very alone in this game. I feel like there's hardly anybody left.
Yes,
so
the circle is finally closed in, and Scott is the victor. You and Kim are the victor. I
was
had
sure.
A couple other people. Like, isn't Bobby?
I thought Bobby had it. No. Oh no, you're right. His family got it, but he didn't.
Right, exactly.
So on the TMS,
Zoe is still in there. Drenched Wildfire is still in there.
Yeah. We got a fair number in the chat and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm look. And
leave it to Johnson to turn it into a competition.
Yeah, and
seriously.
it isn't a competition. However, I was sure that I was going to get it on the boat. That's where I thought I would get it.
I was sure you weren't, because people were required to do a 72-hour test before they got on the boat.
Yeah. I don't know why.
And they don't require that in Vegas or at Disney. I'm leaning towards the fact that my, the sore throat I had a week ago, Thursday night, probably means I got it in Vegas, and I just have been so asymptomatic that didn't even notice.
Yeah,
but,
I mean that's the problem with it, right? Plus it tests late the way it works now, so you can't.
Right. Yeah, Tina tested. Like, she was sick for a week before she finally got a positive result, and she got a positive result pretty much as soon as she was feeling better. So it's
same thing happened with Taylor.
Yeah,
here. She did the same thing, and that was hard because the baby also had it. She had it. Dylan had it. They all had it, but they're testing negative. They're like, "What the frick is going on? Is this just some cold?" And it just seemed bad enough to like, well, we better lock down and whatever, and not try to spread this around. And then sure enough, like 4 days in, they got positives. So,
and if it weren't for being tired, I probably wouldn't have even tested. The crazy neighbor, by the way, said, "Oh, yeah, that sucks. You know what the problem is?" And I said, "What?" He says, "That you tested."
Yeah, that sounds like Dave. That's Dave. That's 100% a Dave thing to say. I can't think of any. I was trying to think, what would Dave say? No, that's it. That's it right there.
He wanted to go and get sushi last night wanted me to join him for sushi last night. I said, not unless you want a side of Corona with your wasabi. He's like, "Oh, what happened?" I told him. He's like, "Yeah, you know what the problem is? You tested."
Yeah. Because otherwise it's no problem if you didn't test, right? That's his thinking. Yeah. That's great. Dave, you're awesome. Well, I'm glad you're feeling mostly, pretty okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. I mean, if, to put it in my typical terms, I'm seriously, if it weren't for the fatigue, I'm still sitting at like 90%.
See, that's pretty strong. That's good.
So there's a little bit of I get the sniffles year round. People can verify by watching old YouTube videos of the show year round. I'm like constantly going back to the Kleenex box and blowing my nose. It's allergies or some business.
You had the right strategy though. You were vaxxed to the hilt. You had you did all the stuff.
Yeah,
you were precautious all that time. We got down to a variant that is the dominant one now that is less harsh on people anyway.
For sure. And I wore a mask religiously like Jesus, really, religiously at both the airports, on the airplane, and at D23 when we weren't taking a picture or doing something. I had a mask on, so
I have
a good thing.
I have a very I don't know. This is maybe everybody feels this way, maybe, but I was surprised by it because my first flight since the pandemic was this trip. I haven't flown anywhere else.
Yeah,
and so it's my first time on a plane since then, and also my first time wearing a mask on a plane. And you're not required to anymore. So I did, but I did. I'm like, well, I want to hedge my bets here. Let's, go in safe, come out safe, whatever.
Yeah.
So I wore my mask the whole time, and the strangest thing happened. I didn't expect this to happen. I felt, it's not just a COVID thing. Wearing a mask on a plane just made me feel better overall. Like just there was something like I was afraid it was going to make me feel like claustrophobic, but it had the opposite effect.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
It was like I felt more relaxed. It was like putting a hood on a hawk. You know when they do that to chill them out?
Yeah, right.
That's what it
mellows
felt
them out, or like putting a thunder shirt on a shivering dog or something like that.
Yeah, so all my normal plane jitters, all that was gone. I just wore this mask, and it felt better wearing it. It was weird.
It's a great side effect of this. I mean, look, we haven't had flus since the beginning of the pandemic, and us masking up and kind of staying away from people and stuff like that. So there's something to that extra layer of COVID or not, wearing a mask on a plane, not such a big deal.
Not such a bad thing. What did that thing
Plus,
turn
I can
out?
stick my tongue out at the flight attendants every single time they walk by, and
they never
don't even know.
They have no freaking idea. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So did you when you had that you had a weird flu thing, like a weird one-off a while back? That wasn't COVID, right? What was that? You had like
no, it definitely wasn't COVID. Did I have the flu since? Maybe I did.
It was bad. You were off. You weren't here for like a week. Do you remember that? It was bad. Do you not remember that?
I didn't remember that.
Oh, that was hardcore.
But,
that was
but
this
I
year.
believe you. It probably affected that portion of my brain that remembers having the flu.
Yeah, or whatever it was. I think you were pretty convinced it was COVID, and then it wasn't, and it was just hard.
Yeah, like yeah. Okay, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, that did knock me out for several days. And
isn't it ironic though that this thing, which is like the thing of the last 3 years, like the omnipresent, bug in the air, and the one that really kills, the one that's really wiping people out now, are just regular old seasonal bugs. And I don't know. I guess that's good. It means we're getting to the endemic version.
I feel like
of this.
it. Yeah, I mean, I feel like hey folks, vaccines work. Won't prevent you from getting it, but it'll give you these light symptoms. And I feel I'm not taking this for granted, because I know that other people who've even had the vaccine still have had a worse time with COVID than I'm having. So
yeah. Still seems to be like who you are makes a huge difference. Like it's just different for everybody.
Right. Exactly. So so I'm definitely lucky and grateful for that. Benjamin says maybe it was after the New Orleans trip. Maybe that's right, because that was February.
Oh yeah.
And,
earlier. It was definitely earlier in the year for sure.
Yeah, I think so.
And that was, it was right after New Orleans. And you sounded rotten. You sounded so sick.
I think that was that a flu though? Because I don't think I even had fever then either. I can't remember
what that was.
I really can't remember. I almost need to
relive it.
As if only there was some place where people could document all of their health issues.
Yeah. Speaking of health issues, this is pretty funny. You were in another dream that I had.
Oh, good. All right.
Don't know why you were in this one, but you were. So here's the deal. I guess I've been playing too much Cyberpunk and watching that Cyberpunk series and just kind of getting into it a little bit. I even started reading Neuromancer, which I've never read.
Oh, yeah.
And it's all kind of in the same vein. And I love that stuff, Blade Runner and all that. I love that. Mm-hmm. And so in this dream, you and I owned a business. It was called Fingered. Okay.
Oh, let's just stop right there, because there's no way this is. I mean, what people are imagining right now. It's. I'm sure your dream was a lot better than what people are probably.
Oh yeah. The name of that store, I think, was just to get people in the door. Although the dream was not about picking the name, so I don't know how we landed on Fingered.
Hi, can I help you? Yes, 1 or 2.
What it ended up being, actually, you're not that far, but in a different context.
Oh no.
The world of cyberpunk and those kinds of things. There's a lot of body augmentation going on. Cyborging yourself by adding chips and ports and augmentations that make you stronger or smarter or give you heads up displays. Like that's the vibe of that whole thing, right? That's what they do,
right.
and they call doctors rippers. In that world.
Okay.
Anyway, in this world, you and I were rippers, and our job was to give people additional fingers, specifically one additional pinky per hand. So
okay, right. We're basically adding a pinky.
Or ripper docs, you're right, sorry.
Augmenting a pinky to people's
yes,
hands.
Pinky augmentation. And chat room is right. It is ripper docs, not rippers. Sorry, I got that wrong. Anyway, we would add, so people would come in and say, yeah, I've got the normal 5-fingered hand here, but I really like to have a 6th finger. And in the dream, it made sense. And not outside of it makes 0 sense. Why would you want the extra finger? I actually want less fingers. Like, I don't think I need my pinky, but anyway, whatever.
Yeah.
And we would graft that on there.
How do you do the shocker, Scott?
That's a good point. How does one, if you've lost your pinky, maybe you turn it around and use the thumb? I don't know. Man, don't do that. That sounds terrible. Anyway, I didn't know what the shocker was till like 4 years ago, by the way. That's a relatively new thing I learned. Anyway,
sure.
So the point is, so we had this successful finger add-on business, and it was just really busy. People coming in, and Brian would be in the back room putting a new finger on. All right, thanks there, Bill. Get out. And then the new person would come in, and I would take care of that one, and you'd work the front desk, and it was just us. And we ran our fingered business. How do you feel about that?
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I think I'm trying to come up with something like, I think it's something we need to do in Vegas, but
no, TMS Vegas.
3D print fingers. Oh, speaking of which, I should look and make sure I'm not.
Oh, do you have something printing right now?
I have something printing on the FDM, and I got to make sure it's not making spaghetti. FDM. I hate it when it makes spaghetti.
Yeah, you don't want that.
That video you sent me, by the way, was hilarious.
That video is both funny and anxiety-inducing at the same time.
Right. So a description for folks, it's a time-lapse video of a 3D print. I'm sure you're pulling it up, right?
Trying.
3D print getting made, right? A layered filament 3D print as opposed to a resin. And it starts building it up from the bottom, and there's majestic music. I think it's, September by Earth, Wind, and Fire?
Something like that. Actually, I'll play it. Let's see.
Okay.
Chat, you want to see this? Let's put it.
Yeah, it's September. That's right.
I'll stick it right here.
It's that whole build up to September.
Yeah, here it is. Watch it happens here. Oh, it just gives me
the point. The print gets disconnected from the plate, and it just starts wandering around with just spaghetti spewing like the melted filament going.
And because it's time lapsed, you know that represented a huge print time that is now lost, and the guy didn't know about it till later. And
right. But I think he's getting more time and leverage out of this video than he probably would out of whatever that 3D print was going to be.
Yeah, it did really well. He's at 1.9 million likes.
I'm sure. There you go.
6,000 comments, 8,000 shares. I think he did all right.
I love the recorder. Like the Jurassic Park was the first one I ever heard, whatever that's called.
Oh, the discordant Jurassic Park one, yeah.
Welcome to Jurassic Park. Oh, Titanic. Yeah, that's another one.
Oh, yeah, the Titanic one is good. I do like those. Well, anyway, be careful with your filament, everybody, and don't open a fingered business. I don't recommend it.
Freddie got fingered.
Freddie did indeed get fingered. All right,
never saw that. Did you ever see that, by the way?
Never saw Freddie got fingered. No, I reference it like you all the time.
Yeah.
There's a fingered reference. You say, did Freddie finger you or whatever?
Tom Green. Yeah, like
never saw
and Rip Torn, right?
Oh, I don't know. I like Rip Torn, but I didn't know he was in that. That's cool.
I want to say he's the dad or something, and never freaking saw that. And I can't imagine it would be good to film sack because it's trying to be funny, and usually that's harder for us.
It's usually bad, yeah. I don't know. We could float it and see what everyone says, but
maybe we couch it.
Sounds like it wouldn't
could
work.
Be a coucher.
Well, speaking of couching. Not really. Mm-hmm. Here's this.
No.
That was somewhat inappropriate. Hey, look who it is. It's Red Fraggle 3, a.k.a. Amy Robinson, joining us for Read This with Amy. Or Read This? Yeah, that's what we call it. Read This with Amy.
Read This.
That's right, damn it. Fresh off her fun little TMS meetup they had down there in North Carolina. How did it go overall? Everything went good?
It was great, honestly. Like, we were kind of, Chuck and I especially were really stressed because we did a really silly thing and scheduled this thing for the weekend right after Dragon Con.
Yeah.
Because we're crazy people.
Yeah.
And so we were kind of exhausted and we were like, oh man, I don't know if we'll do this again. But then we had such a great time. We're already talking about what we're going to do next year, how we're going to plan the next one, and also how we're going to convince you two guys.
Oh, you don't have to convince us. We're coming. We just as long as we
you
know
just basically
ahead,
have to pick a weekend where there's not something else planned.
Well, my strategy currently is for us to pick a weekend now-ish and then lock it in and be like, okay, so we're far enough ahead to where you guys won't have anything else.
That kind of works unless, D23 says, hey, that's the weekend we're going to be doing our thing. Because
are you now a permanent D23er, Brian? Are you?
I think I might go every year. It might supplant BlizzCon for me. Honestly,
interesting.
Because I'm finding out about all these things that I completely missed over there. That it's like, oh, we never even went into that section. I didn't realize there was a bunch of stuff to check out there. And it's like, damn, I want to go next time. So.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Well, that's cool. Well, I'm glad you.
And Claire is even in the chat saying, "Let me know. I'll book it now."
Really? You'll come to the? Oh, you couldn't come to Vegas, but you could go to the thing.
Oh, sure.
Well, we're the closer coast, you see. So, she just has to, get in a canoe and paddle to get to us. Whereas, it'd be like
she can F
much longer.
She can F the monarchy all the way over. Go ahead, Brian. Sorry.
I want Claire in Vegas so that I can experience it anew through her eyes. I was gonna say her closer to the ground eyes because she's short.
She's short. Yeah, she's way down there. She has a perspective none of us have. She can see.
That's right. Yeah. Oh gosh, maybe that's a bad thing in Vegas. Maybe it's like I don't want to go down Fremont Street and be looking at things a foot lower. 2 feet lower.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think?
Yeah,
do you think
you're kind of boob level with all the naked
nuns.
Boob ladies.
Yeah, the nuns, the booby nuns. So does she? When she looks up at us, do you think Claire sees us as bad selfies? Like when you take a bad low selfie. We're all gonna look bad to her, right?
We all look like Imagine how handsome we'd be if Claire was taller and above us and looking down. It's like, oh, you guys are lovely.
What? I don't know why she's British. F the British, she'd say. All right.
F the British.
Well, Amy, it's good to have you here. We're going to do one of these here segments called Read This, where you got like a book or something for us to get into.
Well, before we get to the book, I actually, so if you want to play that second clip I sent you, and apologies for the sound, but you asked how things went this weekend. I figured I'd give you a little taste.
All right, I'm going to bring
some of the
these
shenanigans we got up to.
And I'm going to pull up Twitch so I can watch this because otherwise I won't be able to see it because it's...
Here, I'll stick it in Discord if it's a better quality for you, and I'll have to wait.
That's all right.
There you go. Oops, I sent that to Amy.
29 seconds because I'm watching a Progressive ad featuring the lovely John Hamm.
John Hamm, everyone's favorite Progressive, available now. All right, here we go.
Scott, you stuck that in my Discord.
I know. I reposted it. I screwed up. I always do that. If I have one up before I'm talking, when I'm on another one, I always forget and paste it there. Anyway, so if you can't see this on stream, I'll describe it for those at home. It looks like Brian Ibbett being attacked by something with fire in it or something. That would be your first takeaway because you don't really realize that's a cutout of him. That looks like actual Brian about to get attacked.
Oh,
or something.
yeah. Oh, jeez.
But anyway, here it is.
I'm very scared.
And you'll have to explain it to me a little bit, Amy, after we're done because I don't actually quite know what I'm watching.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
But here you go. It's like...
I guess I should be moving the bar.
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
This is.
I am the great and powerful Ibs.
I don't know about how the sequel to Midsummer is going to turn out in the end when it hits theaters, but wow!
My god!
What a visual!
Yeah, so that was after we'd had our 3-foot pizza, which, by the way, is kind of cool for a novelty item, but it wasn't great pizza.
Yeah, I only like my pizza with 2 feet.
Yeah.
That's 1 foot too
is
much.
almost a little too much. You miss out on some of the other flavors, but
Just too many pinky toes. So anyway, we'd had our 3-foot pizza. We had our trip out to the Retrocade, which, by the way, was pretty fun. It was not. Yeah, it was fun. It was not the size of the place that we went in Vegas, but it was the same idea, right?
Very few places are like that place in Vegas, which was called Player One. Oh, I can't remember what it was called.
Player One, right? No,
I think Player One. God, there've been so many that have come and gone that have had names like that. Yeah. One up is Denver. Player One. Okay, it is Player One. Yeah. That place is cavernous compared to even the places here in Denver that have been around a long time. And I've never found any place that's as big as that one in Vegas. So
yeah, that place was humongous.
It's a bar.
But,
Can't measure by that bar.
Yeah, right. Well, Retrocade was pretty good. It did have the DDR machine had the same problem as the one in Vegas where you couldn't hear the music because
that makes it difficult.
Yeah, right. Like I'm sitting there, I'm hearing whatever's playing in the bar, but that's not what I'm supposed to be dancing to. It's impossible. Right. I'm just, it's a poor craftsman who blames their tools, but there it is. So anyway, we'd already been out and had that fun, and we decided to go commit some shenanigans up in the aforementioned teepee room. And so we were having our little campfire up there in the teepee room, and we decided Ibbot needed to come with us. So that's that it is like you spotted that correctly. It's like a little light that's supposed to look like a thing is on fire, and then we just started the shenanigans just ensued from there.
Yeah.
I think at one point we were playing Master of Puppets, and you were head banging with the Peepers puppets to Master of Puppets.
That's fantastic.
Good stuff. So that's what happens when you don't come. We will create shenanigans with you.
Burn me an effigy, basically, is what.
Exactly.
Have I mentioned how glad I am there are no floating heads of me that you can put on a stick? I'm really glad about that.
Yeah. And those go all the way back to
challenge accepted, Johnson.
Look, it's been that face is as old as, let's see, Brian was 09. I think we did it right. 09.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was an Nerdtacular. It was one of the first Nerdtaculars. I even want to say it was at Jillian's. Or not Jillian's, Noah's. Oh yeah, it would have been for sure. It might have been. No, it may have been before that because I have pictures of you making that face in my house. I made that face, but those cardboard cutouts, that batch of cardboard cutouts was something that Before Tank Girl had printed up and brought to like the second Nerdtacular at Noah's.
Yeah,
and
it'll be 2012, I guess. So 10 years ago.
Yeah, and when I got like the first introduction, the TMS or even whatever we were doing then, as soon as I came out, everybody pulled them out, and it was like an audience full of those faces staring back at me.
Yeah, which is a little nightmarish, really.
Very, very much so. I still wake up with a cold sweat from that.
Who can blame you?
It's a little uncanny. So we went from the teepee room. We then decided we were going to go find the creepy basement. And there are videos and pictures all up on the Discord. If you go to other meetups, we've posted everything there for everyone's enjoyment, including like September's and Chuck's impression of Brian Ibbott using said face on a stick.
Wow.
Yeah. And the creepy exploration of the basement. There was. I mean. We didn't find anything that was directly creepy, but there was like just this walled-in, bricked-in area that seemed out of place, and I was like, "Oh, there's totally a body in there."
Yeah.
This is like a cask of Amontillado situation happening right now. Like there's somebody got tricked into coming down here and then got bricked in there.
That's right. Why are there no reviews for this Airbnb? It's been rented out by so many different people, but there's never any reviews afterwards.
Yeah.
Right.
Weird.
It's such a strange house. I mean, we joked about how weird it was, but I mean, honestly, the beds were really comfy. Everything was clean. We had 2 fully stocked kitchens. It was great. It was good fun.
No hauntings or anything that you're aware of?
No, none that we didn't create ourselves. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
So whoever shows up next is screwed. That's what you're saying. They're gonna.
Yeah, I think Panky actually created like a little series of photos with the Brian on a stick. Like it provided endless entertainment, Brian. Seriously. Like,
I will say that watching Chuck wear the face on a stick gave me hope that maybe I could eventually be that thin again someday. If I I need to put
keep biking.
Chuck wearing my face on a stick on my refrigerator so that when I open it up, I'm like, oh, maybe I'll just have an apple.
Oh, you know what you guys did? You screwed up. You should have taken the head on a stick, take the stick off, glue that thing to the underside of the top of a toilet lid. And then left it there so the next people come in, they open it up and go, bah!
Exactly.
Well, we did leave. So there was again with the odd things in this house, there were some odd design choices going on. Yeah. And when we came in on the mantelpiece in like the main living room, there was just one of those wooden hands, that people use for, drawing and like learning to draw hands and such. Yeah. It was like a posable wooden hand. And so we put a pair of peepers on it and left it there. So, for the next people.
Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, it's like just like geocaching in the modern day is what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's funny you mentioned, Brian, about Chuck being all thin. That's all just cycling. So just keep riding your bike.
Well, it's the cycling and not following the cycling with a package of Twinkies or Zingers or
on the bike.
I've earned a Snickers bar because I went out on a bike.
Yeah, strapping a box of ding dongs to your face.
He eats like 3 times as much as the rest of us now because he bikes all the time, and that's what he says. He just like shovels food in his face, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm biking now. I eat all the time, and he doesn't ever. It's completely unfair because I just I of course you guys have met me. I'm plump. I'm pleasantly plump, and he never. He in fact has lost weight even more, and I'm like, where did you lose it from?
Yeah, where did you put it?
Okay, all right, I need to back on the bike.
Back on the bike, Brian.
I've only ridden one time since the big 150-mile business. Like it's that bad.
Yeah. Well, so it's interesting. This is what I would have put as my little plug after the book, but since the conversation has gone this way, I'll go ahead and mention Chuck is doing a charity ride for the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, and the URL, if you wish to donate, is tinyurl.com Chuck Bikes.
Oh, that's great! What a great URL to snag. That's going to be much easier to remember. Chuck Bikes.
Chuck Bikes. And he has said that if he manages to raise at least $500, which currently he's at like $150, he will record himself doing a ukulele cover of the song "Cover Me." So there you go. There's your
I heard his Rainbow Connection, which I thought was fantastic, which aside from forgetting some of the words, his ukulele performance was great.
Well, speaking of segues, Scott, you can play that first clip I sent you.
Oh, very nice. Okay, let's do it. This is like Christmas. Hold on. Shit, I've lost the page. Hold on. Here we go. Okay, now we're back here. The first clip is this one, which is now opening, and I will hit play on. All right, here you go. Is it playing? It's trying to play. I'm waiting for Google Photos to let it happen. Here we go.
He'll figure it out.
Why are there so many songs about rainbows, and what's on the other side?
Ain't no Chuck could do this.
Rainbows
Yeah.
are bullshit. For idiots. And rainbows have nothing to hide. I can never remember the song. What's so been told, and some choose to believe it. I know they're wrong, wait and see. Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection. The lovers, the dreamers, and
You guys
It's like
are
one of
such nerds.
those movie tropes where like one person starts singing and then slowly it like filters through all the whole audience, and then by the end everybody's singing it.
Yeah.
Yep, that's pretty much how it went.
He does
It
a
was
great, by the way, he does a great Kermit the Frog.
That's pretty
For
good.
him,
Yeah,
man.
I think
Yeah.
Scott Fletcher's going to be pissed. He did this one.
why are there so many?
I'm telling you. Now
Wow,
we got
that's pretty
to
good too, though.
now we got to
I
fight.
think we need to have a frog off at
Yeah.
TMS
Oh,
Vegas
That's
2022 or
frog,
23.
Frog pants, frog off. Let's go.
Frog
Oh,
off.
that sounds like a great idea.
That was
Yeah,
cute.
no, he actually met Jane Henson, and he was introduced to Jane Henson, and somebody said, "Oh, by the way, Jane, come meet Chuck. He does a great Kermit. Check this out."
Mm.
And Chuck's like, okay, you know. Like,
Wow. Yeah, pressure.
I would have
my
freaked out,
impression
dude.
of
That's
your
yeah.
husband.
You're in front of
exactly.
the wife of one of the greatest voices of all time, and boom, you got to do it. How did he do? Did he do it in front of her?
Yeah, he did, and I mean, you know, he's Chuck. He you know, yes, and you know, I mean, he improv'd it, and
Sure.
he was
Sure.
fine.
Good
So,
job, Chuck.
but just did the hi ho Kermit the Frog here. you know. But which,
Side
of
note:
course, he does
his
much
socks look
better.
like they got holes in the front and the back. I know they're not; they're like pink or whatever, but they look like his feet are hanging out of these things, which I think is kind of great. Anyway,
Yeah, no, they're Bombas, so they have those pink. But yeah, you're right. It just looks like he's barefoot, but with like gray things over his.
I love their socks. They have the best socks. Bombas.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's raving about them as well.
They're
I
so
may have to
good.
get some.
yeah, they're
so.
fantastic. Anyway, all right.
All right.
So a book.
All right,
We have a
Rainbow
book.
Talk about
Connection.
books.
Yeah, so that brought me into today's book. So today has just been like, you know, just kind of a meandering path to
Sure.
get us to the segment. So
Sure.
it's been really good.
Yeah.
So I figured I'd just do a couple of readings from, there's a book, it's called It's Not Easy Being Green and Other Things to Consider by Jim Henson, The Muppets, and Friends. So essentially this was a compilation of quotes, stories, anecdotes, etc., from Jim Henson's world. And I think this was compiled actually after he passed away. But so there are many quotes from Jim himself in here, and also from like Frank Oz. So I'll just read you a couple. If just one person believes in you deep enough and strong enough, believes in you hard enough and long enough, before you knew it, someone else would think, if he can do it, I can do it. Making it two whole people who believe in you. And maybe even you can believe in you too. That's from Robin and the Muppet Gang.
Mm.
And then this one's from Frank Oz. Jim didn't tell you what to do. He just was. And by him being what he was, he led and he taught. But by not answering, sometimes you answered your own question, and you could do more than you thought you could. And then one last one that's from Jim himself. As children, we all live in a world of imagination, of fantasy. And for some of us, that world of make-believe continues into adulthood. Certainly, I've lived my whole life through my imagination. But the world of imagination is there for all of us. A sense of play, of pretending, of wonder. It's there with us as we live. So
Oh, it's nice.
So
Very
it's great. It's one of these, you know, just a little, it's not a, you know, get really engrossed in it, read it cover to cover kind of book. It's a book that's great to pick up if, you know, if you're having kind of a down day, or if you're like, you know, gosh, I need some inspiration, or I need some,
And so it's
I need a pep talk, you know. It's a
less
great little
than-
book to just pick up.
Yeah, I mean, less than like stories or an autobiography. This is just quotations and things that'll brighten your day.
Brighten your day. Exactly.
Yeah, I like
Just-
that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just bought it.
It's a really nice little book to
It's
just
only
have
$10
around.
on Kindle. I read all this stuff on Kindle. I just bought it. It's available
perfect.
now. You should grab it. It came out in 05, so that would have definitely been after his death. But the reviews on this thing are just like pristine. Everyone loves it.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's stories.
Who
from...
wants to be the a-hole that like thumbs down on a Jim Henson
Jim
book? Oh my
Henson.
No
god!
kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, who's the one star in there? And don't hang with that guy at all. Oh my gosh.
Right. Yeah, I mean, so there's let's see, there's contributions from, like I said, Frank Oz in here, Jerry Jewell, Brian Henson, you know, I mean, there's lots of people who contributed to some of the stories and the just the little anecdotes and impressions of Jim. Dave Goles, you know, it's all great stuff. So definitely recommend anybody who wants, you know, just a nice little pick me up to have around.
I will
Very
be reading
cool.
that business ASAP. It looks good.
Very,
good.
very cool.
Nice recommendation. If you are into just cool recommendations from Amy, she's Red Fraggle 3 everywhere. Okay. All
That's
the
true.
places. Yep. OnlyFans, Red Fraggle 3, right? We had an OnlyFans. That happening? No? Okay.
Oh wow! Can't wait to see what happens with those puppets and peepers.
You've never seen
Yeah.
peepers like these peepers. Anyway.
I hope September still has the Brian face.
Mhm.
That's a whole different place for, you know, the Red Fraggle pom poms to go.
That is true. Who keeps the face, by the way? Who hangs on to that? Is it September?
Who? Oh, the Brian
The
face.
Brian
Yeah,
face.
that belongs to September. Yes.
Okay. All right. Keep that thing safe. Keep it secret. Keep
Yeah,
it safe.
please
I don't know if
It'd
there's
be impossible to make any more.
Yeah, we don't have the technology to reprint any, so
No.
hold on to it forever. All right.
It's a collector's item. It'll be worth, you know, 50 cents one day.
It's always good having you on. I hope for nothing but a great week for you and a little bit of rest because you've been kind of running around like crazy.
Yeah, I'm like, I keep getting offers from friends to go do stuff this weekend, and I'm like, no,
Yeah.
no,
Just tell 'em
I am
no.
staying home. And you too, Brian. Be sure and get rest because
Oh, yeah.
I realize you feel okay, but yeah, like I'm still kind of feeling the effects from when I had COVID a while back ago. Like just when I do stuff like, you know, climb stairs or lift heavy things or whatever, I'm like, okay, I can. This is not just, you know, I'm in my 40s now. This is like distinctly harder than it used to be.
Oof.
So,
Yeah.
you know, be sure and
Okay.
get you know, don't try and push yourself just because you feel okay. Make sure you rest.
Will do. I
Rest
appreciate
rest
that.
is
Thanks.
best, says all the doctors when it comes to COVID. So
Yes.
yeah, good
And
idea.
do it undressed. What?
Ooh, hello. Have a good one, Red Fraggle / Amy. We'll see you soon. All right, she's out of here, and that means that we have got time for one story. How about that? One
Sounds good. Let's do that.
news story. Here we go. Time for the news, real quick, and it's brought to you by.
Yeah, still going to do a Coverville today. I know, because I'm just a freak, a workhorse, or whatever. Fiona Apple McAfee Maggart. That's her full name.
Good Lord.
Fiona Apple McAfee Maggart. Turned 45 this week. So let's do a special cover story episode featuring the music of Fiona Apple. Covers of and by her. By the way, she even did a cover, not of Rainbow Connection, but of Pure Imagination, which is one of those songs that I kind of put in that same basket as Rainbow Connection. You'll hear that. Covers of Paper Bag, Criminal, of course, Extraordinary Machine, as well as probably her cover of Sally's song from The Nightmare Before Christmas. All this and more coming up on today's Coverville. 1 p.m. Mountain Time, twitch.tv/Coverville.
Was Not Easy Being Green written by Paul Williams? Do you know?
Paul Williams, yeah, or Andy Williams?
Andy
Paul
Williams? Paul Williams, yeah.
Paul Williams, yeah.
What I
It's
didn't
not easy being green.
I didn't know Paul Williams wrote the Love Boat theme. I had no freaking idea until I started noticing it in the credits. I'm like, Paul Williams did the theme. I'm like, are you kidding? He did that and all the Muppety shit, and he was a busy dude, that Paul Williams.
Right. Yeah, he really was.
And he looked like a mole the
He
whole
did.
time.
Little short dude, big mop of blonde hair and glasses and stuff.
And then he blew me away in Goliath. He was really good in Goliath. He was the guy in the camper that Billy Bob Thornton would go to. That was Paul Williams, and he just blows
Just
my
in there
mind.
writing more music, probably.
I guess so. All right, here's your one and only story of the day before we bring Wendy in. Australians want Steve Irwin on their money, not King Charles. They don't want Charles's face on there.
I love that.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to get it, but that's what they want. Australians have been suggesting iconic Aussie celebrities to replace the Queen on the country's banknotes, with zookeeper and national treasure Steve Irwin being a popular choice. The British monarch is Australia's head of state and features on the country's currency. I mean, they are the Queen's prison, after all. Following the Queen's death on September 8th, the Australian National Bank announced the next day that King Charles III would appear on the $5 notes in the late monarch's place. The same goes for coins, which will be minted by with the King's portrait. And let's see, the image will face left, the opposite direction of his predecessor, a 17th century tradition that says the direction must alternate when there is a new monarch. Very important.
Wow.
Blah, 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 blah.
I want to know who else is on this list, because I've pulled up there's a mock-up of the Steve Irwin. I found a tweet that's got all the, from Charles Rockhill.
Someone put it on. Yeah.
Yeah, so Steve Irwin, let's see. Who's that? That is... I cannot tell who that is. Oh, Kylie Minogue looks like one of them.
Oh. Yeah, you got to go through your list.
Yeah, I can't tell who any... I'm going to put this link in the chat. Maybe maybe people recognize who some of these people are.
I would like to submit George Miller for consideration, please. Put him in there.
Sure.
Yeah. The director, writer, and creator of all things Mad Max.
Of course you would. Yes.
You could also, hey, Russell Crowe's had his trouble, but get him, get a little Russell Crowe in there. Why not? And make it fat, old Russell Crowe. That's what I want. It's like current Russell Crowe.
Yeah, Colin Hay belongs on
Sure.
money, on currency.
Yeah.
Australian currency.
You got a bunch of different coins and stuff and notes.
Any Hemsworth?
Sure. You want to put a Hemsworth? Put the ugly, weird one on Westworld. Put that one on there.
Or just all three on one. The
Trinity, the Holy Trinity of Hemsworth.
The Holy Trinity of Hemsworth.
Yeah. Or this girl, you still aren't watching it, so you don't know about her. But this new girl, a relatively unknown actress who's in the House of the Dragon. She's playing the early episodes of The Princess as she's young. And my gosh, she steals that show. She's so good.
Oh, really? Cool.
What is it with you Australians? And your talent?
Yeah, no kidding.
And your ability to just kind of suck up the room. I just don't get it. Yeah, Millie Alcock. Millie Alcock. She's amazing.
Really? Cool.
Mind-blowingly good. She needs to be in everything after this. She's so good. Anyway.
So isn't Margot Robbie's Australian, isn't she?
She is, yeah.
Yeah, put her on there.
All the good people are Australian.
Yes.
They can fake our accents, so we don't even know when they're here.
Exactly. It's Australian money that'll sound just like American money.
Yep. Let's see. All Australian banknotes issued from 1913 retain their legal tender status. So, as we spoke earlier about that happening in Canada, same thing here. If you already have the money, it's still good. The new stuff will roll out with Charles's face on it. And I'm sorry, I want you to get Steve Irwin. I want you to have all these other people. It ain't gonna happen.
Won't happen. Yeah,
no.
It'd be great if it did, but
it won't happen. I'm sorry to say. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, my sister Wendy will roll on up to the front row here and talk to us about a mystery topic today.
Ooh, she's going to lay, what was it? She's going to lay some monumental psychotherapy on us or something
like that. Her exact words were, let's see, I got it right here. She says to me, a psychological phenomenon. I'll have it ready by your call.
That's what it is. A psychological phenomenon. Phenomenon. Do.
Claire, who are you effing off? Who are you telling?
She just doesn't. She wants no more King Charles news.
Oh, no more Charles news. What about the other time he was mad at a pen because it didn't work right? How about that? That's a good story.
I like that. Yes.
All right, we're gonna do that break, but we gotta have music. Do you have some?
I do. One country that's not going to have to change what their money looks like is Japan, and from Japan we get Shintaro Sakamoto, who has a brand new album, his fourth solo EP, called Like a Fable. It's out now on Zalone Records. Big thanks to Secretly Distribution for getting this out to me. There's actually even a new animated video that is associated with this when I watched it. It's a lot of fun. The new song is One Day. Here is Shintaro Sakamoto.
I think we should start seeing other people.
Then you're going to have to pay for your own bananas.
This is the morning stream.
And we're back. Who was that again?
Yeah. That was Shintaro Sakamoto. Brand new song called One Day from his fourth solo LP, which just came out, called Like a Fable.
You can tell I'm playing too much freaking Cyberpunk because that name, Sakamoto, I think is in the game.
I'm sure it is. It's a I want to say that's a fairly common. That's like it's probably like the Williams or the Johnson of.
Yep. It's one of the
Japan.
big corpos too in the
It's
Japan.
not the Smith or Jones, but it's up there.
No. But the whole corporate side of those of Cyberpunk is so fascinating because it's very Japanese corporation heavy.
Yeah.
Whether or not that's actually what will happen in the future, I don't know. But in the 80s, we had this notion that Japan was going to just run everything one day. And Cyberpunk leans into that. Of course, that was all written in the 80s, so why wouldn't it? But it's so good.
I
That game
started
is
playing
that game's good right now.
Stray, which also has that kind of
Takes place in kind right, because it's all robots and future business, right?
Yeah. Yep. That's how I'm getting rest is just playing Stray.
How you liking it? You enjoying it?
I like it so far. I mean, it's heartbreaking in the beginning, but I love the controls and I'm just like half an hour into it, barely into it. So
hearing really good things about it. I need to play it. Still on Plus, I think I should just get it. Why am I not playing that?
Yeah, I don't know why. You've got access to it.
I have access to it. You're right. Still like in the top 10 sales chart on Steam. It's doing really good. All right, let's get Wendi in.
Yeah.
Before that little timer runs out that we don't actually have. It's not really
that arbitrary timer.
Yeah, and see how she's holding up with my mom visiting and all that stuff. Let's find this thing to push. This button here.
Everyone knows it's Wendi.
Hey, look who it is. It's my sister Wendi, the professional therapist who comes on the show on Thursdays and helps people with real problems right here on TMS. Hello, Wendi. Welcome back.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Sure. So you...
Brian. Hi, Brian.
Hi, Wendi. How are you?
So you have two Octa-Canarians. What are they? Octa-Canarians? Octa-Canarians. Staying with you.
John's 90, so what's that?
Navagenarian?
I don't know. They never talk about him. You never hear that because most people don't make it, I guess. I forgot. He's 91 or whatever he is. How's that going? Any special needs? Does everything smell like talcum powder and mothballs, or what's going on?
Well, we don't have room for them to stay here, so they are at a hotel. Actually.
Oh, that's much better. That's good.
Well, I mean, we have a guest bed that whatever, but it's not comfortable. You got to be like 60 and under probably to do it. Yeah,
I thought Misha was going too, but I guess she was going on a separate trip. But at the same time,
she's gone somewhere else. No. So they were we have a bunch of places to stay about 5 minutes away that's surrounded by, Chick-fil-A's and Trader Joe's. So they're taken care of over there. So someone else is babysitting them while I work today.
That's good. So do you guys have massive plans with them at all or anything big going on?
Yeah, we're going to do lots of fun things. So we're taking up to a cabin. Mom's so funny. Yeah. She calls the other day. She's like, do you have bug spray? Yeah. She's like, I know a lady here from Minnesota, and she says that the mosquitoes are unbelievable, and so you got to have bug spray. And I was like, yeah, I mean, they're here for sure, but I haven't had like a single bite all summer.
Yeah.
And she's like, but this lady used to live there. And I'm like, Mom, she has lived in Orem, Utah for 20 years. She maybe doesn't remember exactly.
Or she had a rough summer that year, and the one she does remember.
But I'm like, I'm literally here right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I live here.
So it's that kind of thing.
I live here, and I know what the mosquitoes are like right now.
Right,
not 20 years ago.
Second.
That's funny.
Anyway,
that
so we're
gonna
go to cabin, and you just watch it. There'll be just 1,000 mosquitoes.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited about the stories you're gonna have.
And we're taking them sailing. A friend of mine has like a kind of this old boat that she can. I don't know. You get a skipper to run it. I don't know. I hope we don't die, but we're gonna take them on a sailboat down.
I hope you don't die either. I think that would be really sad if you died. But John would make a pretty good flotation device if you need it, if it came down to it. It'll all work out.
Oh, he'd be so grumpy about it. No, it's good. They're having fun, and it's great.
My favorite thing is Kim gets back. Kim took him to the airport while I was on the show,
Yeah.
And she came back, and I go, how'd it go? And she goes, first thing John did when we pulled up into because we have a brand new airport here in SLC, and it's a little different the way you drop people off. And so they pulled up, and there was somebody, you know how when you're doing drop-offs, there's always somebody who's trying to get out, but there's traffic, so they're slow, and you can't quite get their space yet and all that. The very first thing out of his mouth was, if this was New Jersey or New York, that guy'd be fired, or he'd be arrested by now, or towed out of here. And I'm like, dude, you're not even in the plane yet. I would never want to go on this trip with you. But anyway, Wendi, have fun. I'm sure it'll be great. He'll be no problem.
Yeah. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, you'll do fine. All right, you're gonna lay an egg on us today. We have no idea what today's topic is.
Lay an egg on you.
Because we didn't have any sort of premonition about this. We didn't talk about it. We don't know. And I kind of like that, actually, once in a while. So why don't you tell us?
So I'm going to start with something weird. I just threw this in, and I'm going to do it first because I know I'll forget once we get started. Yeah. But it is kind of related. All right. So you know how every once in a while I like to pimp one of my friends' little things they're doing?
Yeah. There's not an actual prostitute, everybody. This is just a friend with a thing.
That's the words you've always used, and I'm just copying it.
That's fine. You're doing like me. Yeah, that's good.
So anyway, so I want to try something. So she runs a really cool business out of London, and it's so cool. And this will lead to my topic, which is about sort of creative people, and sometimes a thing that can be pretty common about that. So anyway, this is a creative person. That's my tie. Here we go. Okay. Anyway, it's called the Museum of Architecture. And she's done this super cool thing where she has combined, she went to architect school and then has combined like her love of architecture with creating really cool things. So if you Google that or follow, and really what I want to do is I want a bunch of people to follow her just to freak her out. Okay. That's all I'm asking.
That's the whole thing.
Know?
Okay. Got it.
I give you free therapy. You just follow this person on Instagram. It's not hard.
What's her account again? We may as well say it up front.
Yeah, Museum of Architecture. I think the Instagram is at MOA_news.
MOA_news. I'm looking it up here now. Instagram.com/MOA news, or search for it on Instagram. Oh, it says, sorry, this page is not available. Must be different.
Boo. Look at me already doing it wrong. Hold on. Let me find it. Okay, do this. Look up Museum of Architecture. And here's the cool thing. This is the reason I want you guys to check this out. It is, of Architecture in London.
Looking it up here.
London. Okay. And so it's .org, museumofarchitecture.org. There you go.
Okay, found it. Yeah.
And what's awesome, and so let's figure out how you follow them.
Probably a contact us here somewhere.
Yeah. So what is so cool, and if you can
found it.
Check it out.
It's literally Museum of Architecture on Instagram as well. It's the whole username.
There we go.
Yeah.
Give her a follow. And this is what's so cool, because just, this is the way the world works. You need more eyeballs on these things.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway, this is what I love. And if anyone is in Europe or anyone is in London, you have to participate in these things. It's just so cool. So They do these tree houses. What they do is they get architects to design these incredible tree houses, and then it's in Kew Gardens. So that's one of the projects, and they're tree houses you can climb in, and it's really cool stuff. But this is the one I want her to bring to America, because how cool. It would kill here. But basically it's called Gingerbread City. I don't know if you can find it on our website.
Looking.
I did just see that on the main site. I found that.
Yeah.
It pops up like, well, it's a pop-up.
Oh yeah.
There it is.
Gingerbread
right there,
City.
Gingerbread
Yeah.
City. Okay.
So look at Gingerbread City, and it's having architects build. And it's for the public to go and see, but these architects get, the equipment from her, and then they have this entire city of these incredible gingerbread houses.
Wow.
And
look
so
at that.
fun.
Dude, what the frick? Holy shit.
I know, dude. I love it so much. I think it's just such a cool, and I love the combination of all these different professionals getting to do this fun, creative thing that, maybe they're building buildings all the time or something, and they get to do this cool treehouse or whatever. Anyway, so it's really fun, and she does lots of cool stuff there. So give her a follow, a mention. I don't know how this crap works, but I think it's rad.
Yeah, go. So Museum
cool.
of Sorry, what's it called? Museum of Architecture.
You go to the gingerbreadcity.com, by the way. It's its own URL. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, they have their own thing. That's cool.
Yeah, and she's been trying to get it in Chicago and maybe New York, and I'm like constantly like, please, I'll come. I'll bring people. Let's do this.
For sure.
Oh, I'd go to this.
So cool.
So
that would
cool.
kill here, right?
Yeah, it would murder. This would be amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it would.
Really, really cool.
So that would be very fun. So just somebody go follow, just so she gets a couple numbers and goes, what? Because it will surprise her.
Well, I followed her just now. I'm sure others have. Get in there, everybody. Let's do a little life hack here and get her some followers.
I love the life hacks that you guys do.
Nice. All right.
Awesome. Okay, so I start with that, and that leads to this, which is anyone in the creative world, you two who I'm talking to are in the creative world. A common thing that can happen, and we'll get to sort of how it might be connected to some other things too. But there is a thing, have you ever heard of this, called rejection sensitive dysphoria?
I've never heard of this. No.
Yeah, okay. So let me define
sound like
it.
you didn't believe me.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Well, let's see. Okay. So basically what it is, let's get, it's not like a disease in itself, like any kind of dysphoria or disorder, or, we've labeled things lots of different things.
Yeah.
So let me start with this caveat, and lots of people might recognize if they have ADHD, this is a lot more common with folks that have ADHD, actually.
Yeah.
And it is not a medical diagnosis, but it's kind of helps you understand some things you have that often go along with ADHD. You can have this without ADHD, just tends to be more common. Okay.
All right.
So dysphoria, as we all know, is kind of hard. It's a Greek word for hard to bear. So people can have being just sort of totally dragged down, and it kind of causes almost an other experiential kind of thing. Kind of, think about dysphoria or euphoria, right? Like you're in a different plane almost, right? So dysphoria is the D part of the rejection syndrome here, is that it really does get you in a completely different headspace. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So what it is that you get easily embarrassed.
Yeah.
Another form of this, you get really, really angry or have emotional outbursts when it feels like someone is rejecting you or hurting you.
Yeah.
Really high standards you set for yourself, and they're almost impossible to meet. Often this results in low self-esteem, feeling especially anxious in social settings, having problems in relationships because you kind of are perceiving everything as rejection. You stay away from social situations and withdraw from other people. You can feel like a failure because you're not living up to what you think other people are expecting of you. And this can sometimes lead to thinking about hurting yourself. It can be incredibly disorienting and overwhelming to have this kind of experience.
Does it count if you are just annoyed with everyone and don't feel like hanging out with them? Where does that land?
That is not it.
Okay.
That is just losing steam in your daily burned out. I don't know. It could be burned out. It could be just maybe a sign you're not taking care of some things.
Yeah.
Okay, so I assume you're feeling that right now.
Well, I am. I shouldn't say it's everybody. There's plenty of people I'd love to hang out with right now. But the idea of we need to see the so-and-sos. It's been a while. I just go.
Obligation stuff.
Ugh. No, I don't want to. They're weird anyway. That guy posts stuff on Facebook that makes me melt. I don't want anything to do with these people right now. Like that kind of stuff. I just have no time for it. Whereas I feel like in my earlier life, I would force myself to just go through with it. It's like, okay, sure, we'll do it. We'll deal with it for one night. No big deal. Now I'm like, dude, life's too short. I don't want to hang around Dingus and his wife, I don't know.
That's an developmental age appropriate thing, actually. Like think about, like you said, in my younger years, you're still building your social connections and you're figuring out what you like and don't like, and you will override what you want to do for other social reasons or relationship reasons or whatever, right?
Yeah.
This is, how do you think you get grumpy old men?
Yeah, that's true.
It has to start somewhere. And it starts about 40 and it starts to be just like, I don't want to do what other people want me to do. Like some of those old rules maybe, or kind of the general things that you felt pressure to be or say or do, they just kind of fade because you realize none of that matters.
None of it actually matters. Like all of that
Right.
stuff is just a waste of time, or feels like a waste of time. And so I'm much more picky about that sort of thing. So if Kim said, hey, do you want to hang out with the so-and-sos who we haven't seen in 3-4 years for a reason?
Yeah.
Do you want to see them and hang out on a Friday night with them, or would you rather build a snowman with the neighbor kid? I'd rather do that. In a heartbeat, I would build the snowman. Like I just don't think the other stuff is. I don't know how to explain it. It sounds selfish, but it just sounds like it seems like a waste of time. Like literally, it's practically a bad idea now. But whereas before, I'd be like, oh, really? Well, okay, I guess so. I don't feel that way anymore. Now I'm like, oh, really? That's not.
Right. Okay. So let's just think in terms of what advantage that is to have. We will get back to my topic. I'm not even worried
sorry.
about it.
I didn't mean to tear you
okay.
away.
It's okay, because this is actually, this is great. And I it's great because it's very common too, right? And people start to not feel like themselves in ways like, or people don't recognize you in the same way because you aren't following the same rules or, whatever. And so there can be conflict that comes from this. It's like letting relationships die or letting a friendship end, even if you've had it for a long time, because some of our real feelings are finally being allowed to be there as opposed to obligation. So let's start really quick with how why is it an advantage in a society to have people feel these social obligations first? Like, why is that a beneficial thing? And is it a negative thing too? Or is there value? What's the value in that?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Social norms.
It's protection right now, right? Because
yeah, there's a bit of that, I guess.
Less exposure.
Didn't think of it that way. I wonder if that maybe is part of it. I don't know. I mean, one of the problems around here is, and Kim will attest to this, but I get so much of my social fill, like those needs are usually filled by my work relationships and shows and listeners and fans, and those interactions all day are, by the time the day ends, I'm like, okay, I'm done. I need, a foot massage and a freaking
solid, right. Yeah.
Like, I don't want to go out and then do it again. And you might say, well, it's not the same as face to face, and it's not. You're right, but
still takes something out of you. Yeah.
It does. It takes all that energy, that social energy that you have gets sucked away. And so when everyone else is all stoked to go be all social on a Friday night because their jobs are in front of a computer and a spreadsheet all day, I'm like, I've been talking to people all day, every day. I don't want to go talk to people,
Yeah. Yeah.
It's weird. I'd rather watch TV.
Yeah. Well, and if you think about you're getting what you need elsewhere, so it doesn't feel that way. However, then does Kim have the opposite thing happening? Like she needs the face.
Where she needs that sort of thing more.
Pretty often, yes. Yeah. So like today, she's out doing who knows what with her sister. They're out. It's her sister's birthday, but they're spending the day being very social, seeing a bunch of friends they haven't seen, doing a little shopping, having brunch somewhere, like doing the big social get out there thing, which sounds miserable to me. But she's, that's her version of it. And so I'm not pretending I don't know. I know that that's the case. Like, I know that it's, if anything, hers is the more normal. Hers is the more normal activity for having your social needs met, and mine is unusual, but I just can't kind of help it because that is where I'm at. Like, that's what I do. And so I don't have really a choice,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and everyone's going to be different here. I think, the binary of introvert, extrovert isn't 100% binary or accurate, but there is a reality that you can get energy from things, and energy is taken from you from those same things, and you're married to each other. That's usually how that works.
Yeah.
And so that's normal. I always refer to what the heck is that show? You guys are going to help me because my brain just cramped. Where there's the emotional vampire.
What We Do in the Shadows.
What We Do in the Shadows. Yeah, Colin
Truly,
Robinson. He's the best. I love him.
One of the greatest characters I've ever seen. Yeah.
No, it's an inspired, freaking amazing
genius.
Role.
It's genius. So good. And when the other lady goes in the office and she's also an emotional vampire.
Yeah. That was an amazing arc. It's so good. I haven't gotten to the end of this season, but apparently the Colin Robinson has a huge part of the ending of this season. I can't wait to see what they did. Anyway.
Well, and that is it. I always use that example when I'm talking to introverts who are like, I just need to recover. I can't expend all this energy, but I feel bad because the world seems to be successful for those who just are ready to go to the 5th bar in one night or whatever, There's that pressure to feel like, especially when you're younger, because you're now older going like, I don't feel that pressure. I don't care.
Yeah.
But I think when you're younger, part of that is, again, building your social life and what you're supposed to want and whatnot. But I always invoke Colin Robinson to just be like, just watch him and recognize that introverts are sucking your energy. Like they're actually taking from you.
Yeah.
Now, maybe not in the same way, of course, but just like they get energy from social interactions, and this kind of leads to the getting to know yourself thing of like, what do you actually need? Often I'm spending time with clients going through this exercise of like, take a minute and what do you need? And we'll find that a lot of people have not done that much in their life. It's what does someone else need? What is needed to be done? But like slowing down and saying, do I need a nap? Is a powerful question. And then what happens often is we find that folks are like, what I need is someone to help me to do this thing. But then we realize, oh, I don't ask people for help. That's not something I know how to do.
Yeah, I'm terrible.
And so we're sort of peeling back these layers of what you have to do to conserve your energy or to thrive in your life requires a couple layers deep of like, what were the messages you were taught on where did your energy go? Like I recently had a client tell me about some little crocheted thing her mom had on the wall that has nearly destroyed her life. And that sounds really dramatic, but it was some way of just like, make the best of hard things. It was supposed to be like motivational, but what's ended up happening, and not to say this is the cause of everyone's problem, but what it did was sort of validate all the crappy relationships everyone had, because you're not supposed to have perfect relationships. It's supposed to be hard. So everyone's in a crappy relationship. And so, in her case, it's very dramatic. So, we were joking about like what should actually be crocheted on people's walls to have a good effect, because that stuff impacts you. Like what we do in our family with our free time is this, or we don't do this. And you just have to listen to parents for 5 minutes in a grocery store to hear some of those rules, that they're placing, and repeating and repeating. A great trick to do at dinner with your family, anybody, is to ask everyone what, this is a terrible game, but it's super funny. And because you get a lot of feedback you didn't know you were ready for, which is, what is the thing mom would never say?
Yeah.
Or what is the thing dad would never say? Or what's the things the kid would never say? And it got a little rough. Like one kid said about another kid, that kid would never say, you know what? I just shower and put deodorant on.
Oh man. Who would have thunk it?
Whatever it might be. But it's a great way to get some unsolicited feedback and feel pretty crappy. So I recommend it highly.
Yeah, get right in there and get that done. Wow. I just real quick, you were talking about like that thing on the wall that's supposed to motivate.
Yeah.
I really do think I took this from Dad, and I don't think it was a malicious taking or giving, but he was notoriously unwilling to ask anyone for help for anything ever.
Yeah.
And so when things were tight financially, or when he needed help moving something or whatever it was, he just never did. He just wouldn't ask. And I am exactly the same. I just don't ask. Like, the last thing I would do, like if we had to suddenly move to a different house, and I know dozens of people that would be willing to show up and help immediately if I needed them, I refuse to do it. I'm just like,
it's
I'm
even
gonna
with
do it
shows,
myself.
Scott. Like, I'll offer like, hey, you want me to take on this part of putting together the notes for TMS or do this other thing for this other show or TMS Vegas or things like that. I had to wrestle Get some TMS Vegas stuff away from you.
That wasn't. I mean, I'm actually glad that we did that as well as we did, because Brian does an incredible job running what we do in Vegas, and I finally was able to kind of let go of needing to worry about it as much. Yeah. And as a result, I have a much better time in Vegas.
Yeah, you can sit back and kind of enjoy enjoy it as opposed to feling the stress of.
So I have like this.
Assembling.
It's kind of a weird combination of control and I don't like being beholden to other people, and it's usually manifests itself in things like, like I mentioned the moving example. But like if I needed someone to take me to the airport, most people it's no big deal to ask a friend to do it. Mm-hmm. I can't do it. I'm going to take the car. I'm going to park it there and pay the $60 for it sitting there. Like, I just don't do it. And so.
But if somebody were to ask you, you'd be like, oh, yeah, of course. No problem.
Yeah, no problem. I wouldn't think twice. Exactly. I wouldn't even think twice about it if somebody asked me for the same exact kinds of help. Right. No problem. I'm in. Let's go. What do you need? And I would never judge them and go, oh, not independent enough to handle it on your own.
Right, exactly.
I would never do that. So I don't know why.
Pay the $60 and park your own butt at the airport.
I think it's just this weird pounded into me thing of this idea anyway that fierce independence trumps everything, and it's not great. It hasn't served me that
and
well.
I think I have it too because I was raised in the same house. But I think you could do something here. We won't do it because no one needs to see us do our own therapy on the show.
Even though I do that a lot, but yeah.
You could, like, what I would do if a client came to me and started to say these types of things, like, I'm just fiercely independent. That, first of all, it'd be hard for them to be in my office in the first place, right?
Yeah.
They would really struggle to even get in that door. So it would be a miracle, and I'd be really excited about that. But let's say they did, and we start talking about, like, this, so then I would start to go back in time and sort of how did that message come across? Was it cross-stitched on the wall? How did that play out? And then even go a couple generations, right? Because sometimes you can find, especially as sort of time marches on, certain generations seem like they get further and further in the past, and who even knows, right? But then, but the reality is your great-grandparents or your great-great-grandparents or your whoever went through some stuff, like anyone will go through some stuff, that has an impact on how we think about a lot of things, because it is then sort of generationally transferred to the next group. So a really common one is sort of anyone who lost all their money in the Great Depression and, the stock market failing, and they couldn't get their money out of the banks. They behave around money very differently than someone who has not been through that.
Yeah.
But then how does that get passed to their children and then their grandchildren? And sometimes I'll meet someone whose great grandfather lost everything on, whatever that day it was in October in 1939 or 29.
Black Friday or whatever.
Yeah, there we go, Black Friday. And they are so unclear why they're so weird about money, but it's ruining their relationship. So sometimes we'll go pretty far back to find, like, oh, okay, so mom handled it this way, and then her dad taught her to handle it this way. And, and sometimes you don't know those stories, and that's harder to do. However, you can find a thread that makes things make sense. So that's what I would do with someone who can't ask for help, is like, I'm really good at giving help. I am really not good at saying, okay, my turn.
Yeah.
But what I find is when I do actually need someone to listen or to help me, I'm like, oh, no one is good at this. And that's because I'm asking just regular people. I'm not actually asking a professional. So, but it really, and then it reiterates itself. So maybe, Scott, you can think about a time you have asked or were forced to ask, and it was and it wasn't very helpful, or like confirming bias, right? Like it's sort of like, see, it's better I do this by myself. Or someone helps you move a thing and they break it is a great example of, like, yeah, then you get punished for doing a thing that was kind of risky to do. Yeah. Do you have this, Brian, at all? Is it hard for you to ask for help?
Yeah, it totally is. Like I'll do a lot of the same things that Scott does, and I just have to basically force myself. I have to, push myself to say, okay, let them help. A lot of the show production, I mean, Coverville is a one-person show because from start to finish, assembling stuff because it's like, ooh, do I want to have somebody else helping pick the music? No. Do I want to have somebody else editing the show? No. Do I want to have somebody else doing tweets? It wasn't until, doing this show, especially ANTP, that I'm like, all right, let's get some help. I'm not going to edit this thing completely by myself, or I'm not going to try and come up with all the challenges myself or things like that. So,
right. So is there a difference between do it all myself and I don't, and sort of perfectionism? It has to be done right, like control.
Yeah, it's a hard thing. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Versus,
I was just going to say versus being vulnerable or need, and they're probably connected to some extent, but just like I need help moving physically. I've got to get 100 boxes out of my house. Like truly, logically, it's going to go a lot faster if other people are there.
Yeah, just pure logistics. Yeah. Pure logistics of a move is a really good example to use, and why that's a problem.
Versus controlling a product that matters to you and not trusting someone else to do it
the way I would do it. Yeah. And, I mean, it's. I don't know. There's probably a correlation there. It feels less like, ooh, if I don't control this move, it's not going to be done right. Because it's a lot easier to just say, yeah, you're putting that stuff into a box. I might, if it were me, I'd probably be like, oh, let me go ahead and do those, those action figures. I'll go ahead and pack those, or I'll pack these glasses or plates or something like that. You go ahead and handle the books and the stuff that doesn't break, because I don't want somebody else to feel responsible if they do something and something bad happens because of it, only because I know what parts of that are liable to cause a problem, to break or to be fragile or whatever.
I have a similar issue, especially with moves. Moves, for whatever reason, moving stuff is a good, it's in some ways it's a neutral action, and so it's a good one to look at and ask why we have these emotional attachments to either asking or refusing help and that sort of thing. But when I'm helping somebody else move, and it's one of those moves where it's like, I'm moving your pee-pee mattress, and I also got this loose box of hanger clothes that are just loosely laying everywhere. You didn't really plan very much. I'm not actually really judging them that much. I'm still there to help. But in my head, I'm going, I would never make anyone move this pee mattress. I would never make anyone move a pile of clothes that aren't put in a box somewhere, that aren't, at least organized or whatever. Like I have that conversation happening in my head as well. And I never want anyone to be in a position where they're like, oh, this piece of furniture is sort of old and lame. Why are we moving it? Like, I don't know why. Whereas if I move it, I'm like, well, it's my own damn fault. It's my furniture and I own it. So I'm moving it. And
you sure own a lot of old magazines, Brian. Why do you have all these old entertainment weeklies?
Right. Yeah. There's just some of that. I don't know. It's like letting someone organize your computer hard drive in a weird way, because it's like,
your underwear drawer. Yeah. Like so I would say the word that maybe fits best there is the vulnerability, right?
Yeah.
You're vulnerable because it's maybe really you underneath your bedroom floor. Like that's maybe the dust bunnies or the real you. And we all have different ideas of what that might mean. And this is where it gets interesting, I think, with the family history concept. Maybe I'm thinking about this because my mother's in town. But just this idea of like, where'd you learn to not be vulnerable? Or where did you learn to ask for help or not ask? Like some of those different things. What was crocheted metaphorically on the wall next to the door, and you saw it every day.
Yeah.
Clear eyes, pure hearts, can't lose.
Something like that. Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, and here's what's tricky is those messages with all good intent can sometimes create. So take that phrase, can't lose. If my heart's pure, okay, well, my heart has to be pure all the time. Like you can see where anything could go south in terms of like, it's supposed to be a good thing, but what it might end up being is creating some neuroses around something. So the not being vulnerable with somebody else may show up in the not asking for help. Then you get curious about, okay, so how did I learn that? And what does it mean? And it doesn't, because all of us are going to get old and need someone to do some stuff for us, right? In the end. So you two are not ready. Is what I'm
No,
saying.
no, I can totally wipe my own butt. I've got this.
Oh, I'm so not ready. And you know what?
Right?
Part of that is it's back to Dad going, oh, I need to go quick. I'm not going to have some long drawn out illness where someone has to change my diapers. Hilariously, my dad, not hilariously, but my dad was famously, maybe privately, but in our family famously, the only one that would go over to Grandpa Ward's hospice bed and change his diapers, change his pans. Like he was all about helping him, but the idea that freaked him out so bad. And the fact that he died of a sudden heart attack was exactly what he wanted. Like he didn't want a drawn out thing in his 80s where he's gonna, and all this stuff. And all of us and our mourning aside, he went out exactly the way he told us he wanted to go. Right. And I've never quite got my head around how I'm going to deal with that. If my demise in this mortal coil is a long drawn out illness, that sounds like the worst thing. Not because I'm in pain or it's a long drawn out illness. It's because everybody's going to have to help me, and I don't want them to have to do that. Right. I don't want Taylor.
If you've listened to the show more than 2 minutes, it's also a big poop fear for you.
Totally.
No, you're right. I'm going to be crapping that bed every 5 minutes. My kids are going to have to take turns.
You think
there.
Your fear is pooping on an airplane? Wait till you try just pooping in a bed.
Yeah. And my kids are going to have to have these conversations about, well, we need, I'm going to have to take some additional work off if we're going to help Dad on the weekends. And I do not want any of that. Even talking about it, that's a miserable prospect. I don't like it at all.
Right. Which the future is going to be full of clinicians needing to work with the elderly on their emotional stuff, because it's everybody. Like, this is super normal. And we don't have a lot of things that have made it more accessible, right? Like caregiving isn't happening in a family home in the way, maybe more so. There's been a new sort of emphasis on hospice and having people in their own homes. So maybe people are getting more access to that. I mean, you say that about Dad. When Adam and I were dating, I watched him carry and clean his grandmother and help change her diaper. And we are 24 years old. Yeah. And I thought, oh yeah, I'll sign up with this guy. He can change my diaper one day. Yeah. But like that is the model I had. It's the model I married. It's an awesome thing, but he's never going to ask for help. I married someone who also will never ask for help. So it's problematic because he and I never ask for help. But if you think about sometimes there's some really good things to that. Sure. But is it, and this is the question for most people, where do these things prevent you from living a full life? It may be that it keeps you disconnected from others, or it may be that and you get crotchety as you get older, and you tighten all up to protect yourself, and that maybe isn't so healthy for you. So usually it's finding a thing, and if it's working for you, great. But where it's not working, you can sometimes dig in and see something differently. So I'm going to read, and I promise I'll get back to rejection sensitive dysphoria, because I have an assignment about that.
All right.
But here's a quote from Dr. Glenn Patrick Doyle. And this is not saying any of us were neglected, but this is kind of a stark way of putting it. He said, "You bet people who were neglected overthink. They couldn't count on anybody else to think of them at all. So they had to make sure all their bases were covered in order to get their needs met. Anxiety is kind of the baseline when you've had to do everything yourself for years." Okay. So lots of us struggle with overthinking. It doesn't mean everyone was, quote unquote, technically neglected, but no perfect parent exists. Nobody ever did all the things you needed in the right amounts, in the right way, right? Because you overlove or help a child, you ruin it. Yeah. You underdo it, you ruin the kid. Like, there's just a caveat. We can all try our best, but we're still going to screw up somehow, right?
No, it's like it's like the Great British Bake Off. Your whole thing's gonna, you got to do it perfect or you're screwed. Right?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is really what perfection is. Perfection is about avoiding shame. It's about avoiding rejection or looking bad or not being lovable. So the more perfect we can make something, we're trying to ensure, it's like an insurance policy that we'll be okay, right? Yeah. But perfectionism is a very difficult mistress. Yeah. Like never lets you reach it, right? Yeah. So this idea of the overthinking, though, if you think about that, no one can help me, or I have to think through every last thing, or I need to control all of these different aspects of something. It could be related to, I had to do that from a very young age. I had to figure out how to make sure everything was working. And the overthinking pattern is just a response to needing to protect yourself in that way.
Yeah.
I mean, Scott, you and I, we came from a big family.
Yeah,
there was not enough attention. No offense, everyone, but not enough attention for 6 of us.
No,
because that's not really possible.
No, that's not even zone defense. That's just that's overwhelming.
That's penalty box all the time.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
It's just like it's hard. And so what everyone, we all got good enough, but it doesn't mean there were some things that got missed. Then you have Brian. You're one kid. That should have worked fine, right?
Kind of did.
Yeah.
See, Brian, quit talking. But you know what I mean? It can happen any direction, or too much emphasis on one kid, and you have to all of our hopes and dreams are on you, so you must do it well or something. So this can go lots of different directions. Okay, so going back to rejection sensitive dysphoria.
Yeah.
The truth is, I had an idea to do with this, and then you got me sidetracked because it wasn't solid enough. So,
all right.
Here's what I would like if someone is willing to do this. If you have experienced really high levels of sensitivity to rejection, you possibly also have ADHD. Not necessary, but like those two things kind of come together. If you would write us an email about the ways you experience this, and maybe it's that someone has complained that you're just too sensitive all the time, or you get really angry in a meeting at work and you're worried you're going to lose your job because you keep having such strong reactions to different things. Send us an email and then we'll tackle it using that to guide us, because I'm easily distracted today, apparently.
No, I love that idea, because I was trying, when you were talking about it early on, and again now, this idea of like, what is my reaction with rejection, or what is my action towards not getting rejected,
right?
Because that's preemptive rejection modification. I've been trying to kind of have a little bit of a think about that, and I'm not sure what I do. Is that weird to answer it that way? I'm just trying to apply this to myself.
We'll figure it out. We want someone to write us in who feels it kind of more on the extreme, and can't prevent it.
Yeah.
And then we can sort of dive into how most of us are doing this all the time, managing a fear of rejection. That's one of the greatest human fears, right?
Yeah.
So we're all handling it somehow. But then there are folks where it's the sensitivity and the dysphoria occurs. So if someone could give us a concrete example of what that's like for them, I think we can kind of explore the spectrum pretty well.
Yeah, I agree. To that point, if you guys are out there and you're like, I've got a perfect one, just send a simple email will do. If you don't want to be named, whatever, like we make that a rule here anyway. Yeah. It could be totally anonymous. themorningstream@gmail.com, or if you're over at the realsteps.org site and use their contact form, you can absolutely do it, and Wendi can field them, or however you want to do it. Will work great. So please get those to us. I have a feeling that you, Wendi, this week will bump up against some old ideas of independent old people, and I hope that goes well for you.
Yeah. I mean, they're using our car, and we both just plan on never seeing it again. That's how we handle it. Preemptive.
Yeah.
You wrote it off.
It's we were like, we'll give them the one that's the least expensive. They've lived good lives. It's not the bigger one that'll protect them, but it's okay.
Yeah.
No, it's gonna be fine. They are actually right now at a conservatory. It's this beautiful indoor. It's every Minnesota goes there in the winter because it feels like you're in a tropical place. It's awesome.
Oh,
anyway,
wow.
So that's where they are, and they're gonna eat lunch, and hopefully it's fine.
Yeah,
they'll
be fine.
It's gonna be great.
Speaking of people are out of breath, I'm almost 100% sure that Mom's got like delayed COVID stuff with her breathing. I'm worried about her.
I guarantee it.
Yeah.
She refused to ever test herself when she coughed for 6 weeks straight.
She wouldn't do it. And she lost her taste and smell, still wouldn't do it.
Oh, jeez, really?
Yeah.
Like to have that many signs.
Yeah, I'm like, Mom, you freaking got COVID. And she's like, I don't know. And she still says that, even though now she has like, she's super winded all the time. She can walk 10 feet and she feels like she's run a mile. Like, it's clearly that. You know,
Yeah.
what else?
And
would
you
it
know
be?
what it was? Didn't want to stick the thing in her nose.
Yeah, she didn't want to have a thing up her nose.
Well, I do hate that part too. By the way, I don't know if you heard you didn't hear the first part of the show, Wendy, but I currently have COVID.
Oh yeah, Brian has
buddy.
COVID. He's
Yeah.
got a
You
low
have brain fog? Because that thing sucks.
What is it?
Brain fog.
Brain
Oh
fog?
yeah, no, I'm kidding. No, at least I don't know if I do. Again, it could be affecting the one part of my brain that would recognize whether or not I have brain fog.
Yeah.
It's really possible.
It's
But,
the
no,
brain
I feel
fog.
like I've got a very light version of it. I've got
Oh,
COVID zero sugar.
Yeah. Which
That's
is really good. They've
awesome.
really formulated the flavor down to
It,
the,
My-
it
yeah.
tastes
My
like
family
regular
had that.
COVID.
Yeah,
My
like
family had that, and I had COVID new Coke formula. I don't know what I had. It was
Classic
so bad.
COVID.
yeah, you had a bunch
Cola.
of you had triple sugar Jolt Cola is what you had.
It was
Right,
so bad.
right.
In fact, I had it June 1st, August 15th. I woke up and I went, oh, I feel normal. It took that long to feel normal.
That
It was
that is a
crappy.
long time. Matt's
it's not
Matt's
the
birthday.
the full symptomology, but I woke up and went, oh, I feel like myself.
Yeah.
Where have I been? I don't know what happened all summer. Anyway,
Well,
it was rough.
here's hoping
Well, I'm
Brian's
sorry
is
you
brief.
said Brian. That's garbage. Hate
Yeah,
it.
it
Yeah.
happens.
So is it? So are you?
I can't wait to lift later and see how many people I can give it to.
just infect all your Lyft passengers?
4 stars gave me COVID.
Yeah.
Oh,
It
no,
tasted
please
like
don't do
real
that.
COVID. It was amazing. Is your wife avoiding you, or how's that going? Are you guys trying to stay away from each other? or-
Yeah, as much as two people living in a house can do. I mean, we're still sleeping in the same bed. We figure if she would have gotten it, she would have gotten it already from me. But she had it in May, and then she got her second booster in July. So far she's
That'd be good.
feeling totally fine.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well,
Okay. I hope it's quick recovery. And
road
there's no
to-
lasting
A
damage.
real nurturer she is.
Yeah.
You're feeling fine. Go get it yourself is basically what I hear a lot of.
Oh, I wonder where you got to get it yourself from. Maybe it's from your wife.
Oh
Yeah,
no! See, there's where the independence
Full
comes
circle. Full circle.
from. All right.
Okay,
well,
so
yeah.
how about this? Can I just say one last thing
Yeah, go ahead,
about
please.
realsteps.org?
Yes,
Can we
please.
all just sign up? Woohoo! Let's do
go
it.
sign up. Realsteps.org. If you haven't done it before, now's your chance. Get in there. Realsteps.org is an easy place to find on the website, and then get in there and sign up. It's not hard.
Yeah, we are. There's some. Yeah, I mean, I hate to be cliche about this, but it's October is the month we're doing it, so it starts October 3rd.
Yeah.
Midnight, October 2nd is your deadline to sign up. I'll send out one more email and bug people, but I won't do too many of those. But we are going to talk about fear a lot. I know it's October, but just how much fear plays a role in our changing and doing different things. So yeah, so it's going to be awesome. I'm very excited. So yeah, please head over to realsteps.org, read about it.
Yeah.
Email me at admin@realsteps if you have questions.
Yeah.
We'd love to have you.
Admin at realsteps.org, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Just make sure there's no .com in there that I forgot you had.
.org,
Awesome.
.com.
It's always orgs. All right, Wendy, this has been great. I do wish you the best this week. It's going to be fun. Whatever. You get to see Mom. It's fine. It's going to be great.
Yeah, that'd be great. And I've learned you just change subjects and rooms and activities quickly, and then
Yeah, the
nothing goes.
the 91-year-old Italian guy. It's a great way to get him off track. Is to go. He'll go. Can you
100%.
believe it? Burp, burp, burp," and you just say, "Oh, the rain," or whatever, and he'll
Right.
stop.
All I have to do is say something nice about my kids, and he will then go off about his grandkids, like
Yeah.
it's his other kids.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And I'm like, say, hey, kids, why don't you play the piano for Grandma and Grandpa John? And so they do. And at the end,
Yeah.
and he kind of falls asleep. And then at the end, he's just like, have I told you that my grandchildren?
Yeah.
I'm like, yep, great.
Yeah. If I was
It's
in New
so
Jersey,
easy.
your kids have been arrested by now. If it was New Jersey. All right. Anyway, I hope it goes well. My best to
Everyone
everybody.
pray for me. Okay.
All right. Yeah. And everyone pray for Wendy. Bye now.
Okay.
Oh, it'll be fine. They're just
It's
kind
totally
they're a
fine.
little bit of a handful right now. They're just kind of. He's a crank, and she's, she's getting old, and she's kind of at a very I don't care anymore mode of like, whatever, John, and he hates that. Talk about your control freaks, that dude.
Really?
Oh my
geez.
gosh, dude, I couldn't live with him for more than 5 minutes. That is the truth. Anyway, so there's that. Real quick here, we got some upcoming stuff.
Yeah.
Tonight, Core. It's 5 p.m. normal time, Mountain Time. We got all kinds of new stuff to talk about. The Nintendo Direct this week, the big Sony State of
right.
Play. PlayStation VR 2 details were announced. All sorts of stuff. If you want to catch up on all that, that'll be tonight with me, Bo, and John. Tomorrow we will be today Coverville 1:30.
Coverville, yep,
or
1 p.m.
Why do I say 1:30 every time? Why?
I don't know. Should I just change it? Would it be easier for you if I changed it, Scott?
Don't do it for me because it's
okay. All right.
Stupid that I can't remember it. You'd think it would be easier to remember on the top of the hour. Anyway, I don't know what's wrong with me.
At 1:30, I'll have defeated 5 people on Marvel Snap while playing.
There you go.
Cover songs.
Yeah.
Fiona Apple cover songs.
Then tomorrow we got a couch party, and Brian and I and you all who want to come that are patrons will be watching Willow together. Willow, the movie Willow. For reasons we discussed yesterday. That's right. We're going to see how well that holds up and get prepped for the new series and see if Scott has been wrong all these years that it's bad. I always thought it was bad, and we're about to find out. Does the Ron Howard classic Willow hold up? Let's find out tomorrow.
Yeah, there was a whole ANTP week where somebody did a whole episode about Willow, and I can't remember what the deal was, but
I don't remember that either. But it was you're right. They went all in on Willow.
They did, yeah, and I don't even remember what they thought of it.
And I know there are people who really love Willow. Like,
yeah.
I am not going after you. I'm just saying my memory is a little salty on it, and I don't know why. So here's our chance to figure it out. We'll watch it together. We'll have some laughs. Sign up for the Patreon even today, and you could get in. That's over at patreon.com/TMS.
That's right.
And then we got a film sack this weekend, and we got a skim coming up later today or tomorrow.
Assassins on Film Sack.
Yeah, 1995's The Assassins with Sylvester Stallone and Antonio Banderas.
Right.
Fun stuff. TWBD this weekend as well. So lots of content. None of you will be bored. Check it all out when you can. That'll do it for us. Hey, Brian, we should probably play some music to end our broadcast week. What do you got?
Totally fine doing that. This is a funny cover to play this week because I am still dreaming about California. Fever dreams. No, I'm just kidding. But Mrs. Taffy Guy wrote in and said, I just love this song, wanted the whole tadpole to hear it. And I love this song too, so I'm happy to echo her sentiments. This is the song California Dreamin', performed by Sia. Sia gets those lyrics right, by the way. It's, I walked into a church, I passed along the way, and I got down on my knees, and I pretend to pray. Changes the whole meaning if you say, and I began to pray, because he's faking praying so that he can hang out in the church where it's warm because it's freezing where he's at, which is why he's dreaming of California.
Interesting.
There you go.
Okay.
So get it right. If you're going to cover this song, get it right. It's one word, changes the whole meaning. Here's Sia's version. She released this on the San Andreas soundtrack back in 2015, originally by Barry McGuire, but also covered very famously by the Mamas and the Papas. It's not theirs originally. California Dreamin' by Sia.
I always learn these things about who did what and when, and it always floors me.
Barry McGuire.
I know so little. All right, that's it. Thanks, everybody, for listening this week. We appreciate it. We'll be back next week with more and all that other stuff I mentioned this weekend. We'll see you then. This show is part of the Frog Pants Network.
Frog Pants Network.
Get more shows like this at frogpants.com.
You acting like a real McAsshole.
Jeez. Don't remember that movie, but woo!
I don't either.
That was
I
rough.
wonder if that does the hot side stay hot and the cold side stay cold on a McAsshole?
Only if